What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the live stream. So here we are, Sunday night yet again. It does not feel like it's been an entire week here. Let me flip on my little scrolling, whatever you call these things, and we're good to go for another live stream. So welcome back. I am exhausted. So I had a buddy of mine that his entire backyard needed to be reworked. They just bought this place about a month ago, and their backyard was almost totally unusable. It all just super steep pitch into the woods behind their house, and it was not really a yard. And so he wanted some usable space. So we brought in a CX57, and which is a mini excavator for those of you not familiar. And then we brought in Rick's TV450, his CTL, and we spent 3.5 solid days over there, totally redoing, resculpting their backyard, which meant a lot of manual labor because we had to build 2 retaining walls. I was the only experienced dirt guy there. Everyone else was just kind of brute force labor. So yeah, it has been a freaking long weekend, but I'm happy to be here doing the live stream, and it looks like we've already got a bunch of people on, which is super exciting. So we'll just start here at the top here at the comments. August, dude, I appreciate the apology, brother. There's no hard feelings whatsoever. It's not a big deal. Let's just all move forward and keep it positive, and we're all friends here. So I do appreciate you apologizing, though. That goes really far. That means a lot. So yeah, I do appreciate that. Richard, I appreciate it, my man. I really do. This is kind of something that I just did to kind of get closer to the community and kind of be more reachable for guys, and I really appreciate the fact that you guys are enjoying it. So, you know, ask away if you've got questions. I'm here for you guys. I never anticipated this being something that guys would like listen to in their cab over the week after we've recorded the live stream. But it thrills me to death that you guys are doing that and that you guys like this. We have talked, multiple guys have talked about the possibility of me doing a podcast down the road. And I will say, we are not ruling out the possibility of a podcast sometime in the future. We will see. I've got a lot of things on my plate right now, but we will. I'm not knocking it out of the park there of possibly having it. So, JJ, what's happening? Brian, how was your week? A lot of dozer action. Finally, it's been a week and a half of hot sun with some Sahara dust. So operators are full throttle working week after weeks of rain. Same here, JJ. So really good week overall. Super busy weekend, as I was just saying. But it's been miserably hot here. I think we were at like 87 yesterday, 93 degrees today, which, you know, normally isn't that terrible. I'm originally from Texas, as I've said many times on here, but when it comes down to the humidity that we've got here in Michigan and mosquitoes, oh my gosh, the mosquitoes were out in droves. It was rough. But how you liking the dozer? Let me know how you're dozing. What are you running right now? And what kind of job are you working on? Brandon, what's happening, man? Thanks for coming out. Appreciate it. Ryan, what's happening? Appreciate the comments on the videos. So I totally screwed up, and I posted one of my vlogs on the Diesel and Iron main channel, and it did really well, which has my wife really hounded me that we need to converge the channels again, because if you guys aren't aware, I have a vlog channel that is separate than the main channel, and it's only got like 280 subscribers right now. So you guys let me know if you want me to converge the 2 channels again. That means that basically on Wednesdays that video will be a vlog as opposed to what it has traditionally been, which is just kind of equipment running. I go back and forth on whether or not I want to merge the 2 channels again, because it's just such different content. I've got educational stuff on Mondays. I've got my heavy equipment running on Wednesdays. My vlogs are just so different from those 2. That's why I originally separated them, but let me know your thoughts, guys. Lever Monkey, Shane, what's happening? Mic is not good. Well, that's no good. I wonder why my mic is not good. Does it sound like it's too loud? We could try cranking the volume down a little bit. Let's see here. See if this is any better. We'll see if that works. I'm not sure if that is the problem or not. You know what? Hang on just a second here. We're gonna do some investigating. Yep, that's what I want it to be. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. No good? Still good? No good? Let me know, guys. Okay, so Nick says it's fixed. Maybe? We'll see. Okay, I'm sorry about the microphone. I don't know what's going on with that, guys, because I don't have any, like, audio feedback here, because I don't listen. Alright, so Shane says that's better. Okay, so we got multiple people saying that's better. Let me catch back up on the comments here. Let's see here. Video on how to operate a backhoe, preferably a JCB. Brandon, as soon as I find someone that will allow me to touch a JCB after I've shit all over them for so long, I will consider doing a video on how to operate a JCB backhoe. You know what? Every night, just so you guys are aware, I bring the trusty notepad here. I'm going to write a note. Operate a JCB backhoe. And I will make some phone calls this week. There it is, guys. Can you see that? Yep, that's it. I'm going to make some phone calls this week and see if I can line out operating a JCB backhoe. And I will see if I can make a video of that just for you guys. We'll see what happens. So, anyways, Phil, what's happening, my man? Phil from Down Under, how are you? Let's see here. Nick, what's happening? So I know I've acknowledged you're in here already, but I'm officially acknowledging you, Nick, now that I'm down to my spot here in the comments that you're here. So Dustin, what's happening? Ryan, I've already said hi to you. Nice and crisp, beautiful voice. Thank you, Nick. Chef's kiss. Like, I spend all this money on all this nice recording equipment so that I can have a beautiful voice, and it upsets me when it's a little scratchy. So to have you say that, Nick, it really hits me right here in the heart, and it makes me feel much better about life all around. So let's see here. Ryan, what's happening? Northeast Ohio Farmer, what's going on? Sean, awesome. Everybody's out tonight. That's awesome. So we've already got 16 people in here. That's great. So tonight, by the way, we are not doing the traditional scotch. Tonight we are doing a beer, the Voodoo Ranger Imperial IPA. Let's get that up there so the camera can catch it. Come on, focus. Let me turn it so light can hit it. That's what we're drinking tonight. It's a new Belgian brew. It's pretty dang hoppy, which you would assume that with an IPA. And if you didn't catch the update from last week, we had a power outage last week. It completely fried our refrigerator and our dishwasher and our microwave, which means that this beer is lukewarm. And I don't know about you guys, but I am not German, and I'm not a huge fan of drinking lukewarm beer. So I'm not complaining because it's still beer, but it could be better. So anyway, Deer 550 LT, still beginning to use some tips of your videos, but doing some land clearing. Demand is basically wild jungle. So the Deer 550, that's where you start getting into a little decent sized dozer. I want to say it's a 450 is the equivalent to a D3, if I remember right. I don't remember Deer's terms. And I was not a fan of the 450. It was a little too weenie for me, but it was a good time. It was a very good time. Nick, I'm telling you right now, get into the IPAs and you'll get some hair on your chest. Like, I've got legit chest hair going on. I have to buzz it, sometimes because it tends to pop out the top a little Austin Powers like when I'm operating. It's like a big bush right there in your face. I can't say that with a serious face. I'm sorry. Anyways, it's all from IPAs, man. So do you want to remain a boy or do you want to move up and be a man in this world? That's the question you've got to ask yourself, Nick. Root beer is good at any temperature. A&W. If I'm going to do root beer, I got to go A&W because I don't remember what their competitor is. Man, ICB, IBC, not a fan. But A&W, ooh, cream soda. That takes me back to childhood. I don't think I've had an A&W cream soda in about 20 years. And sweet Jesus, that was good when I was growing up. Why are we talking about bushes? I don't know. We're getting off topic. I don't know. I'm really just kind of spitballing right now because no one's asked any questions, and it's my job to somehow entertain people. And I'm talking to a group of guys, and what gets guys more excited than bush? Whether we're talking about inappropriate things or we're talking about bush beer, anytime you mention bush, it gets people excited and it starts to get them to breathe a little heavy in this industry. So that's how I got here, Brandon. That's the best explanation I can offer you here. Yes, 9%. That's the other thing about, yes, absolutely, God, family, country. This 9%, like, that's the thing about IPAs. They put you on your ass. And that's kind of nice because when you become older and you're not drinking for social purposes where you have to down a 24 pack and still be able to walk straight, I enjoy this because after 2 or 3 of these babies, you're feeling pretty dang good, and you're ready to go on about your evening. And it is good. There is a ton of flavor in IPAs. So anyway, Richard Vincent, you should do more on the education people could do in a community college or a trade school. I know they teach you that in the union, but for those not in the union hall. So I've talked about this before. I've kind of alluded to it a couple times. Rick and I are talking fairly heavily about doing some sort of a training school. We don't know exactly what it's going to look like right now. We've discussed having people come out and work alongside us and actually get real seat time in real job conditions. Excuse us, because we get a lot of jobs where we don't have a hard deadline. Obviously we still have to be productive on the job, but we don't have a firm timeline that we're trying to meet, and so there's some fudgeability in there. And so a lot of times we get into some pretty hairy situations. We do a lot of technical digs, as you guys have seen if you watch the vlog channel. We do get into a lot of technical digs where you have to have a lot of skill set, but it's also not one of these jobs where you're under the gun, you have this huge crunch time, and it doesn't allot time to train. And so we've been discussing pretty heavily recently how we could get some guys involved where they could come out and actually work alongside us, and we would actually train people in the seat on the job. And we're still working through the details of exactly how that would work. So all that to say, Richard, I would like to do more on the education side, but from the standpoint of I would like to actually educate people as opposed to talking about other places you can go to get educated, because the sad truth is there are not many places out there you can go and pay for an education in this industry and get real legit on the job experience. A lot of times you're paying to go sit in a classroom and then you get like 15 to 20 hours of seat time a week. And over the course of 6 weeks, that's not very much seat time, and it's never in real working conditions. Oh, you know what, guys? I'm sorry. I just noticed I didn't set up the chat window so no one can see what's going on in the chat. I'm sorry. My God, I'm unprofessional here. Hang on. I'm going to fix that for you guys because, this is my first live stream. Come on, computer, work with me here. So we're going to copy that. We're going to bring it over here, and we're going to go right there, right there, right there. Okay. Boom. There you go. Sorry about that. Anyway, what was I saying? Education. All of the operating that you do on these community college things and these trade schools is they give you this nice flat field and they're like, okay, go dig a hole. Okay, now make it level again, even though you've got a perfectly level pad to work off of. We really want to put you in the seat on a real job site where you don't have a level pad to begin with, and you've got to figure out how to backfill and do it safely and do it in lifts, and you actually, like, this is real working conditions too, so you're getting a real education. And so that's what I would really like to get into. So anyway, I know that was a very lengthy answer to what you said. I'm sorry. We're gonna go back to the comments here because Shane's trying to start a fight here. He says IBC is the best. Shane, I was planning on having you on the live stream again, but now I'm thinking I might have to block you because that's a very offensive thing to say in the comments nonetheless. Like, we're not even having a private conversation. You're publicly saying that IBC is the best, and I couldn't even remember the name IBC because it's not that good. I said it. So, Tell us a story, Brandon. I kind of just did. I told you the story about Rick and I's origin story for our training school that we're starting. Maybe. Who knows? Who knows? Anyway, JJ, I believe it was a J. I'd have to go back into my old archives of footage, but I believe it was a J, and I was not a fan. God, family, country. Okay, got a question for you on the side of the machine. ED for example, I had to say John Deere 316 or a John Deere 300. What does that mean? Does that mean the weight of the machine in tons or pounds? So, great question. So, generally, it is, you're going to take the first two, let me think about this. It's going to be the first, see, the 316, this is where you're throwing me with the John Deere. I'm going to answer your question, but not in the way you're intending. So when you talk a Cat 349, with Caterpillar, the 3 designates that it's the excavator line, and the 49 stands for metric tons. So a 349 is a 49-ton machine, which we round up and we just call it a 50-ton machine. Likewise, there are 315. That's a 15-ton machine. A 308 is an 8-ton machine. You can go all the way down to the 303. A little Cat 303, that's a 3-ton machine. So that is the tonnage. Most of the time that translates between manufacturers, but they have their own nomenclature. So for example, you have a Cat 315, but you have a Case 160. Case has designated it to where it's the first 2 digits, not the last 2 digits. So it's a Case CX160. That's a 16-ton machine. Likewise, a Case 210 is a 21-ton machine. So that's how the nomenclature works. So Deere is going to be similar. A 300, a Case 3. Sorry guys, a Deere 300 is going to be a 30-ton machine. You take the first 2 digits there, it's a 30-ton machine. So that's kind of how the nomenclature works there. Let's see here. Ryan, did you ever talk to the Cat guys on the rock truck shifting hard? That's not intended for me. If I remember right, that was a back and forth conversation between you and God Family Country, I'm assuming, so I'm not going to answer that one. Turner G, you should look into Hastings, Nebraska, Central Community College Heavy Equipment Operator course. Hastings, Nebraska, I don't remember where they are in relations to my parents lived in Lincoln for a while. They just moved out of Lincoln, which is unfortunate because now you're referencing, oh, it's next to Grand Island. Okay. So I don't have an excuse to go out and be close to that place anymore, but I will try looking into that place. I'm kind of curious. Northeast Ohio Farmer, Sourman, D8K is, I have no idea what you just said there. For our Sourman, the D8K is, that sounds like some weird gibberish Yoda statement. I'm not exactly sure what you meant with that statement, and I apologize because that makes me sound like an ass, but I am very legitimately confused by that. Ryan, heard some companies say they wouldn't even go near people coming from certain operating schools. Some come out of there way too cocky and have 100%. That is 100% my problem with operating schools. Is there's two major problems. The first is the fact that you don't get a real education. Not, in my opinion, one worth paying for. And that's why multiple people in the comments on the live stream here, you see them ask me if they should go to a training school, and every time I say no. And for those who are already in training school, I feel terrible saying no, that was a terrible decision. So I generally soften the blow and say, well, maybe yours isn't that bad. But the reality is, most of the training schools aren't worth anything. They just don't do a good job of teaching you real world conditions. I was talking to an instructor, man, this has been like 4 or 5 months ago. He uses some of my videos in his course, and that's how we got to talking back and forth. And we started going through his curriculum because he wanted some input. And he had an entire week and a half dedicated in over going through different pieces of equipment, like not going out into the yard doing walkarounds or anything, legitimately looking at pictures of tractors and talking about the differences in tractor types and talking about the differences between an excavator and a backhoe and a skid steer. And it's like, I just flat out told him, I said, if you really want my true input, ditch that entire part of your curriculum, throw it in the garbage. It's not worth going over. No one cares. No one needs to know the difference between a tractor and a backhoe and a CTL, because the sad truth is if you can't tell the difference between those, you shouldn't be in this industry at all. And if you can't tell the difference and you want to be in this industry, spending a week on it isn't going to get you there. Now, going out in the field and actually sitting in the seat of a CTL, so you know what a CTL is, that's going to be helpful. Sitting in the seat of an excavator and running an excavator for a week, that's going to be helpful. Are you ever going to get the two confused after that? No. And if you do, again, you shouldn't be in the industry. So that's number one problem. You don't get a real world education. The second problem is exactly what you just touched on. Guys come out of these schools and they think they are the shit. They are amazing because they have been to a school, so they know way more than everybody else, even though we've all been doing this for, 10, 20, 30 years, depending on the operator. And so what happens is they hit the job site, they think they know everything, and they make a complete ass out of themselves, which then turns around and reflects poorly on the trade schools, and it makes the trade schools look even more incompetent. So just the whole system needs to be entirely revamped. It needs to be better implemented, and that is ultimately what Rick and I are looking to solve at some point if we can figure this thing out. So let's see here. Ryan, doesn't surprise me. Some colleges are that way when it comes to jobs in real life. Oh, Bacon, you set a reminder, but it didn't remind me. It doesn't sound like you properly set a reminder, but it's okay, because I'm glad you showed up, and you're only like 15 minutes late, so, because I'm behind in the comments, so I know you dropped that about 5 minutes ago. That's not bad. I will tell you, that's not bad. And I'm happy you're here, man. It's good to see you again. Mac, you never knew this. What is this specifically? And I will address what you didn't know. God, family, country, that's exactly. What's up, Steeler Thug? What's happening, my man? Thanks for showing up. I appreciate it. Ryan, but that's what happens when everything relies on a grade and not how you can actually use the knowledge in real life. That's what you get. Yeah, that's ultimately, yes, that's what boils down is the way they rank your performance is based purely on some grade. Like, you passed a test showing that you could tell the difference between a tractor and a skid steer. So what? Who cares? Can you run them? Because if you can't run them, I don't care if you can tell the difference between the two. So what I would love to set up, what I kind of envision, is something where we have a company that does real world jobs, real world work. Sorry, having a hard time talking here. And we would have guys come out in 2 or 3, people at a time. It would not be large groups, and we would, bring you out for a month. And you would come work with us at a highly, highly discounted rate. I haven't figured out how exactly that's going to work, or if we would just charge you and you would pay for room and board and get the free education while you're there. However we figure that aspect out, you would come hang with us for a month, and you would essentially start on the end of a shovel for the first 3 or 4 days while we start to get a feel for who you are, you get a feel for who we are, we get a feel for how you work, because work ethic, as we all know, is huge in this industry. And I can tell you right now, if you can't spend 3 days on a shovel without complaining and bitching about it, you don't need to spend the rest of the month with us, because you're not going to hack it. So we can quickly weed people out. But then from that point, you would basically be our operator, and Rick and I would labor for you, and we would coach you the whole time. And it may take you 2 times or 3 times or 4 times longer to do something than it would take Rick or I, but that's not the point. The point is for us to train and to teach and to let you get the seat time and the experience. And we've been on sewer leads where we've had to do a trench box. That's a perfect example of, it's going to take you 5 times as long to handle that trench box than it would me or Rick. That's okay. You're going to learn. And we may bang the trench box up. That's not a big deal. Rick and I will be there to coach you through that whole experience, and by the end of it, you're going to know how to run a trench box in a trench, and you're going to know how to move it up the trench and get it into the trench and out of the trench, and those are the sort of things that you would actively learn. And by the time you walk away at the end of your month, you would have a lot of real world seat time. You wouldn't have any classroom time. It would all be on-the-job training, but you're going to know how to hook up a water lead. You're going to know how to hook up a sewer lead. You're going to know how to use a trench box. You're going to know how to dig a safe trench. You're going to know how to operate for a laborer, because we're going to be coaching you through that the whole time. So it's real-world experience. And then what I would like to do is develop this company to where you actually, contractors in the area and around the country start to know who we are, and they start to understand that if we give you the stamp of approval that you've kind of gone through our little training course, that you're a decently competent operator. And so what I'd love to do is establish these relationships with these companies where they go, hey Brian, I need a couple operators, can you get me somebody? And I can fire off and go, oh yeah, I've got so-and-so and so-and-so here. They just went through the training program. They're a little green, but they've got, you know, they've got really good hand-eye coordination. They do a good job of listening to their laborers. I would totally recommend these guys. Boom. They give you a call and you have a job lined up. That's what I would love to work towards, is this thing where it feeds contractors competent employees, that they're not super seasoned operators, but we've kind of vetted them, and the contractor knows they're getting someone that's worth their investment to continue to train and teach. So, oh, let's see here. Boom, boom, boom. JJ, I guess I have to run a D4, D5 to compare to the 550, but people here for some reason are on deers mostly. Cat dozers are rare unless it's a C or G series. Sweet Jesus, you're dating your equipment there. Whew. Man, I haven't run a C series in forever, and it's been a while since I ran a G even. But it is interesting. Where are you at, JJ, that they all prefer deer out there? So I'm originally, to answer your question, God and Family Country, I'm originally from Texas, so I say Coke because it's all Coke. There's nothing different. They're all Coke. But everyone up here says Pop. Actually, we're in Michigan, so everyone says Pap. It's P-A-A-P, Pap. Soda Pap. Let's see here. Born and raised in Ohio. Yep, Ohio. It's Pop. This whole area of the country, it's Pop. Southwestern Ontario is Pop as well. I'm learning a lot about how we classify Coke, soda, Pop around the world. Phil, if you're still in here from down under, what the F do you guys call it? I'm curious. When's the GPS video coming out? So if you flip over to my vlog channel, there have already been a couple of videos where I'm using the GPS and I'm kind of walking you through what I'm doing and showing you. But if you want the official, legitimate, down and dirty GPS video, tomorrow, my man. Tomorrow the GPS videos start to drop. I think I've got 3 or 4 of them in the queue. And it's just fair warning, I'm not getting ultra technical, but I do walk you through the system. I walk you through how to set offsets. I talk about different aspects of operating with GPS. So, and stay tuned on that too. I just established a relationship with one of our local dealerships here that runs TopCon. I've never run TopCon, and so I am going to set some time aside here within the next couple of months to go spend some time with their techs, get trained up on that system, and I will make a whole series of videos on TopCon GPS as well. So we've got more content coming there. I don't want you to think that this Trimble is the only thing you're going to get. You only get 4 videos and no more. I'm never going to touch GPS again. I am going to. GPS is way too big in this industry for me not to touch it, so stay tuned because I will make more GPS videos. Let's see here. New York is soda. Okay. Jason Grover, I want to read this as he wrote it. How was it working with Carson? And I will answer that for you right now. It was awesome. I really enjoyed working with those guys. Carson, the whole group, honestly, all of his guys, they're just genuinely good people. We got along really well. It was a lot of fun working around a young crew that was new to the dirt side, that had a lot of excitement, and they were eager to get going and eager to learn. All of them did a fantastic job learning and listening, and they helped me learn some things as well. I thoroughly enjoyed working out there with Carson. That was a blast. Legitimately, I spent a month out there, and I could have done another month very easy with those guys. We all got along really well. Excuse me. Whew, that's the IPA. I'm sorry, guys. Scotch doesn't make you burp like that. Mac Flim, about the tons for machinery, and I've been running machinery for a little more. I don't know what you're referring to, Mac. I'm sorry. I didn't go back in the comments to see. Tyler, going to a trade school to learn and operate heavy equipment. I love it. Always wanted to do it since Pap owned his own company years ago, but retired when I was still too little to run any. So, like we just talked about, I feel like a terrible person. Trade schools are not necessarily the way I would have gone, but at the same time, it will give you a tiny leg up over somebody who has no experience whatsoever. But it is awesome that you're getting into the industry, Tyler. If you have any questions or if there's anything I can help you out with, look down here in the bottom, this side over here, and you'll see my email pop up, thatdiggerdude@gmail.com. And this goes for everybody in the comments, anybody that's listening after the live stream. Feel free to email me, thatdiggerdude@gmail.com. If you have questions about the industry, if you have questions about how to read a grade stake, if you have questions about anything related to this, I'm here offering myself to help. And I legitimately mean that. You're not going to pester me. You're not going to bother me. It's not some inconvenience. I do this to help guys get into the industry and get educated about the industry. So if you have any questions, reach out. By all means, reach out. Let's see here. Boom. I'm with you on the school thing. I live next to the only state that needs licenses for this work. The license goes by weight of the equipment. That is the only place you should use any schooling. Yes. IJR. Thank you. Thank you for So, I wish I could take the camera. You guys want to see the studio? Let me know. Comment below if you want to see the studio, because I will take my camera off of its tripod and I will rotate you around so you can see. So it looks really polished from this angle, and you will get to see the jankiness of my studio if I take the camera off. So, but I do appreciate you liking my lighting, because I actually have a fair amount of money wrapped up in lighting, because believe it or not, that's one of the most expensive things about videotaping or filming yourself. Videotaping. This, sweet Jesus, this isn't the 80s. Sean likes the idea about the school. Well, you know, we will see. We will see. Wisconsin is soda. That's right. And you guys use bubblers out there, which no one knows what the hell you guys are talking about. And you have bags. You get bags from the store. Like Carson and his guys kept talking about bags. And I'm like, guys, that's not a real word. You have to stop doing that. You quit a couple weeks ago because of trying to get into shovel shape. Ooh, soda. Man, I tell you, soda, pap, Coke, whatever you want to call it. There's a smoking lot of calories in those things. It is crazy how quick they add up. Let's see here. Have you ever rolled a rig or seen a rig go over? Shane, no, I have not. I have not physically been there when a rig's gone over. I have seen the after effects on a job from the rig going over. But no, I personally have not. Although today in the skid steer, I almost went over backwards. There was a pretty steep slope that I hit just right. And I definitely teetered on the counterweight before setting back down. So that was exciting. Let's see here. Let me scroll up. I'm getting behind. Sweet Jesus. Puerto Rico and the C Series. Oh, so JJ, that actually explains. So Puerto Rico, you guys generally have some older equipment down there, from what I understand. So they're not even hydrostat. No C Series. Boy, JJ, we need to get you to the States where we're running like actual cutting edge technology here, as opposed to a dozer from 1984, which is the year that I should be referencing when I talk about recording myself on the camcorder like an old man. Let's see here. Austin Harris, hell yeah. Can't wait, just got into the D5K with Trimble. So it's coming tomorrow, Austin. So I'll give you, I think tomorrow's video is an overview of the new cat grade system. And it just kind of goes through what you're looking at on the screen, what all the information is. Next Monday is going to be horizontal and vertical offsets. And then I think the week after that is why GPS doesn't make you king dingling dozer operator. So yeah, we'll kind of work through those. And by all means, feel free to reach out if you've got questions on that system, because if I don't have an answer, I've got some resources I can pull from to go get you an answer. All Trimble, boom. We work with them too. He is an awesome guy. I subbed to them in the winter. Oh, so Jason, you're in, let's see here. So Jason, was that your case loader, your 621 that we were running out there on that, was that your 621 we were running out there on that sub job? Because if that's the case, I was running your loader, and that old girl can push. Like, legit, she can push. I was very impressed with that old case. Let's see here. Sean, TopCon is good. Used both a little different, but good. Yeah, see, Sean, I have no experience with the TopCon. Mac. Oh my gosh, Mac. You're distracting me from the live stream on Instagram. Oh. Okay, I can't read this right now, Mac. I will read it after the live stream, I promise. But that was a lengthy message. I will get to it after the live stream. Brandon, crane certified. No, I am not. I was working on my crane certification right before I got out of operating full-time and never completed it because I realized that that was a crap load of responsibility and I wasn't really ready to 100% commit to that. So, yes, you guys want to see the studio. So here we go. Yeah, let's see the studio. This is my janky studio, guys. So here we go, taking off the tripod here. So there's your last look at the polished, finished product there. And this is what it looks like when we go out wide. So we've got our soundproofing material there. So that's my hair light that shines on my back to kind of differentiate me from the backdrop. There's my desk with all my crap on it. There's my tripod where the camera sits. This is my big, so you guys want to know what my face is so like? There it is, that big old monster light right there. And then I've got another light that lights the backdrop so that it's lit. And then I got more soundproofing on all the walls here. I got some extra equipment back here, and in the closets more lighting. So this is the studio. And there's all of my wiring coming down from, so this whole system, so the screen here and all of this is my audio, which actually comes up to my boom. This is my microphone right here that hangs just out of frame on the camera. And that's all of the wiring to take that upstairs to my main computer, which is what's running everything. I used to have a computer down here. Let me get back in front of the screen here. We'll zoom that in right there. So I used to have a I used to have a computer down here up until the live stream that Shane and I did together, and because it was really struggling because it was an old piece of crap, I ended up routing everything to my main computer upstairs, and that's what all the cabling is for. Everything down here is driven off of my PC upstairs. So there's the studio tour, and like I said, it looks really polished back here, and that's what counts. So what happens back behind the screen here, you know, you guys get a sneak peek behind the curtain, but most people don't see that, and so for all they know, I'm sitting in this super nice swanky studio. So there's the studio tour. Sean, it's a $1,500 fine to the company for those people not to have a hoisting license or hydraulic license, 2 different ones a minute. Yeah, so Sean, you can get in big trouble for not having your crane certification if you're running a crane. Like, it's a federal level offense. It's big time. Austin, just saw your comment here. I do appreciate you pointing you guys to the videos. Excuse me, channel's growing like crazy, so you guys referring the videos, it's working, it's going great. I appreciate it. The channel is it's going good. Let's see here. Tyler, trade school, get you your CDLs. So that's another thing that trade schools, you know, I will say, if you can get your CDL out of the deal, you can't go wrong, just because that is something that it takes time and money to get, and if you're able to get it that way, that route, it's, you know, it makes everything else that you're doing worth it as well. So let's see here. Boom, boom, boom. Rhode Island has bubblers. Interesting, Dan. I only thought that was the Wisconsin people. Lawrence, hey, I know you've had a lot of experience with prevailing wage with Dan's. I'm in Michigan, was wondering if it goes based off of size of equipment or anything that requires operation. So no, it's not based off size of equipment. They basically have classes of operators. I can't remember how they break them down. It's like a class A, B, or C operator. And essentially what it is if you just run off-road trucks and rollers, you're like a class C. And so you don't make quite as much as your generic class A operator. Outside of that, the scaling has to do with what you're doing. So if it's underground work, that's a different scale than road work. If you're doing hoisting, that's a whole different scale than road work and underground work. The way you get classified on a job it's not, contrary to what you would believe, it's not based off of what you're doing. So if I was I ran for a pipe crew when I was doing road work, but I wasn't paid underground scale because it's based off of the percentage of the overall job that is made up of underground work. And so because the vast majority of our job was made up of above ground road work, we got paid road scale, not underground scale. Now, if we went and did only a sanitary or only a water main, and that's all we were doing, then we would get underground scale. But when we were working on a road project, doing underground work for that road project, it was all grouped together and we were paid road scale. It's a giant disastrous mess. That's all I can say. Let's see here. Bagan, my introduction to equipment safety was tipping a dingo onto its bucket. Had a light material bucket laying traffic bond. I was working in my high school senior year. I managed not to die. Unfortunately, that's the way a lot of guys learn safety, is through the School of Hard Knocks, which should not be the way to learn, because you can kill yourself quite easily in this industry. But yeah, part of what makes you a good operator, and I've thought about making a video on this and trying to word it in a way that wouldn't offend the internet Nazis and the armchair operators. It's difficult to do. But part of what makes you a good operator is pushing the equipment to the limit so that you know where the limit is. And I have to say that in a specific way, because being a cowboy and going out there and bucking the snot out of a loader to figure out where it tips is not the way to do it. However, there were multiple situations where I was running a loader where I had to load a truck that was off the side of a road and it was on a pretty steep slope, and you had to figure out exactly where you could get away with tipping without getting into trouble. And so you would do it in a way, I would sneak off the side and I would have my boom up in the air, but I would have my bucket. I knew I was going to be safe if I started to tip over, because I had that truck there to catch me with my bucket. I kept it, and I'm talking I'd have that bucket within 6 inches of the edge of the truck. So instead of slamming down on the truck and damaging something, instead it was, if I start to tip a little bit before I go all the way to where you have the full machine weight, that truck is going to take some of the weight off so that I can catch myself, I can start to dump my bucket and alleviate some of the weight and set back. Those are the sort of circumstances where you are pushing the machine to its limit, but you're doing it in a way where you're not dangerous, you're not going to break the machine, but you know now exactly where that tipping point is. You don't have to guess anymore. And it's that way with excavators and dozers and all of this stuff. It's slowly, as you become a better and better operator, you push that limit further and further until you know where the absolute limit is, and then you know to dial back just a little bit so you don't get yourself into trouble. So knowing how to do that safely just comes with experience and with time, and that's the way to do it without killing yourself. Jason, so it was your loader. I was highly impressed with your loader. I could tell she had been in a lot of salt, and she was a snow machine, not only from the tires, but also from copious amounts of rust. And it sounded like she needed some U-joints, but that sucker outpushed that D6K we had, and that's no joke. all of the guys on that job will attest to the fact that that D6K was not pushing as much as that 621 was, and that was an F series, wasn't it? I think it was an F series. That sucker was mean, or was it a D? I think it was a D. Yeah, she was a mean machine. So, Jason, if I make it back out there next year, I think Carson's talking about doing another one of those residential jobs, and if I make it back out there, we'll have to make a point to meet and shake hands and maybe go out to dinner or something. Sean, we've had new guys that come out and can't do anything on the equipment. They have the paperwork. Yeah, that's the industry right now. People are handing out union cards all over the place because the unions are hurting for people. People are getting thrown on job sites right and left because the overall industry is hurting so bad for people. It's a dangerous situation because you can talk a big game, but once you get in the seat and you start endangering people's lives, like that's a problem. So that's going to have to be addressed at some point. Ryan, never rolled equipment, but I've been climbing in and out of holes and on and off piles, and it can definitely be sketchy. Ryan, we've all been in sketchy situations. That's just part of the industry. Every once in a while, you kind of... we've all been there. You get to the edge, and you're like, this could either be really awesome, or it could go real south real quick. And those are generally the situations where I will put on my seatbelt, and away we go. And I can say 100% of the time so far, we have come out of it with it being really cool. So I'll let you know when there's a decent chance now it will be caught on video because I video everything. There's a decent chance it will be caught on video if something goes south, and I will keep you posted. So let's see here. JJ, they're both cat and deer K series around, but extremely rare. Meanwhile, 99% of the operators own deer HJ series. I know only 2 people that. Wow, that's pretty amazing. So that's really interesting to me, JJ. So the only thing I can think is Puerto Rico is kind of a poorer area, if I remember right. And so I wouldn't be surprised if contractors just can't afford to go out and get the new gear, but that's totally a guess. I don't know. That's really interesting to me. Jason, just confirmed. Yep, works great. Use it for plowing. Yep, 100%. I could 100% tell that machine was used for plowing. So I got a little dirt back on her, though. I think she was happy to be back in the dirt for a little bit. But it did get hot having only that little dinky fan blowing on me and no air conditioning. That was a toasty because it was running right around 100 while we were working out there. Bubbler was a brand name like Crescent or Kleenex. The brand was created and owned by Kohler. But what's weird to me, Bacon, is the fact that you people in just small portions of the world decided to stick with Bubbler, and everyone else was like, no, it's a drinking fountain, you weirdo. So, Ryan, anyone see that weird grader loader thing that Let's Dig tried the other day? Yes, I did, and I used to sell those. Although I didn't get to sell that one because it wasn't out yet. If you want to look it up, it is called the Malden Maintainer. I'm going to write it in the comments so you know how to spell it. It is Malden Maintainer. There it is. That is a super specialty machine. It's really popular with guys that do parking lots for paving because it's small enough to fit in there, but at the same time I think it's got I can't remember if it's a 10-foot or a 12-foot moldboard on it. So you actually have a decent little grader, and it's really nice and convenient to have that skid steer attachment on the front of it because it's a skid plate. So while it comes with the bucket, you can throw a set of forks on there, and if you need to move a pallet of stone or block out of the way, you can do that. If you need a little bucket of material spotted so that you can continue grading, you can go grab it yourself. You don't have to have a second machine. So they're really popular with the asphalt guys that do parking lots and small driveways. They are goofy though because all of your controls are down by your seat. So you actually run the machine with your hands back here and then your steering wheel's up front. It's a really goofy setup, but they are super popular. If I remember right, they just came out with the newest version, which is why I didn't get a chance to sell them. But the newest version, I want to say, runs right around 140 grand. If I remember right, I can't remember. So they're, in the grand scheme of things, they're pretty reasonable for what they are and what the capabilities are. So Ryan saw something this week. John Deere and Hitachi are splitting off, not doing that joint venture. Yep, so that doesn't surprise me. So Case had a similar arrangement with Kobelco for a long time with their mini excavator line, and eventually what happens, it's not always like a negative thing like, oh god, I hate you, we're splitting. A lot of times it just comes down to the two companies want to go two different directions on a product that they had been joint venturing on, and so they decide to split and go their own directions. It's mutual, they figure out how to break up in a nice way, and everyone remains semi-friends afterwards. So that doesn't surprise me. Let's see here. Merrick, what's happening? Good to see you, man. He's seen those up close maybe 4 years ago. Road crew was redoing gravel. Oil pad being put in. Very good in them used. Yep. Didn't watch it. Yes. Jason Grew. Yes, for sure. Yes. Thanks, Merrick. I appreciate that. I am trying my best to keep out good videos. We'll see what happens, though. I keep telling coworkers to watch your videos and how to run an excavator dozer. They're on point. I appreciate that. Thank you guys for pointing, like I can't tell you guys enough, thank you for pointing people to the channel. Like I was saying just a minute ago, the channel's growing like crazy. In fact, let's take a look at our stats real quick. Since this is kind of all our communal effort here, the main channel this past week, so my vlog channel, which if you guys have not subscribed to the vlog channel, I am still doing vlogs every week. I do 2 a week. Go to the vlog channel, click down below in the description of this one and go subscribe. That channel grew by 41 subscribers, which doesn't sound like much, but that's double what we've been doing in the past because we just started that channel. Our main channel, Diesel and Iron Proper, we just passed 12,000 subscribers. We've had 850 subscribers added to the channel in the last 30 days. Like, legitimately, you guys pushing the channel is working and it's driving and we're growing. So I cannot tell you enough how much I appreciate that. It's awesome. It's super exciting. So again, Merrick, all of you guys, thank you. I appreciate it. Ryan, climbing in and out of a cell in a landfill a while ago, and I broke down and brushed the dust off the seatbelt. Yeah, it happens. It is, and I'm not saying this in an accusatory manner because I fall victim to it all the time. There is nothing girly or sissy or unmanly about breaking out the seatbelt. There's not. And again, I fall victim to it too. I have to kick myself and say, get over it. Stop being that way. Ultimately, at the end of the day, if there is ever a question, if there's ever a doubt on whether or not something's going to cut loose and something's going to go sideways, if there's ever even a small chance, throw the seatbelt on. I mean, it's really for the 10 to 15 to 30 seconds you're going to be doing whatever you're doing, it's worth it if something happens. So yeah, I hear you. Dan B, do you think backhoes are good for starting out in excavating? It wouldn't be my first choice, Dan. So if you absolutely 100% could only buy one machine and you wanted to spend a little more on one machine, a backhoe could maybe get you through. The problem is it's just not nearly as versatile as going with a mini and a skid steer. Excuse me. So a mini and a skid steer will 100% outperform a backhoe all day long. But you have two machines instead of one machine. But again, if you get a gooseneck trailer and like a 25 or a 3500 pickup, a lot of times, depending on the state, you can carry both of those machines on one trailer. And so you'll get way more efficiency out of them. You have a much smaller footprint than the backhoe in those two machines, which means you can get into tighter spots. You're going to dig more efficiently with your mini excavator than you will with the backhoe. You're going to grade far more efficiently in the skid steer than you will in the backhoe. So it would not be my first pick, Dan. I really would not do that unless you absolutely were just pinched and that was all you had to go for. JJ, here equipment prices are, and I'm not joking about this, more expensive than the US new and used, even if you go. So I believe that because you guys are way the F down there. So you're paying crazy import prices and you've got shipping costs and all sorts of stuff. So I 100% believe it, and I agree. Now that you mentioned that, I think that plays a huge part in it, is just the astronomical cost of getting the equipment down there to you guys. So that's pretty interesting. Oh, yep, JJ just called it. Yep, mini excavators. This is the way to go. And too bad Frank's not in here to defend himself, because I know he'd be defending his backhoe up and down, but mini excavators are the way to go. God Family Country, which, by the way, God Family Country, what's your name? So I don't have to keep saying God Family Country, because eventually, as this beer hits, it's going to slow down and it's just going to be God Family Country. I do appreciate you telling your buddies to check out the channel. I really do. And Brandon called it. I have a secret backhoe. It's in my backyard. I don't show it to anyone because it is a JCB, and I've spoken so poorly about both of those things that it would just bring shame to my family, and I would have to go commit whatever that Japanese thing is where you have to stab yourself with a samurai sword. Like, that's the extent of shame that I would experience if anyone were to see my JCB backhoe sitting in my backyard. So you totally called it, Brandon. Unfortunately, I haven't had time to watch the vlogs, but luckily that... So, absolutely, Ryan, I will say the vlogs are good wintertime material because they're generally 20 to 30 minutes an episode, and yes. I do have a new editor. He's doing a fantastic job editing those for me because those are pretty labor intensive. Every one of those vlogs takes me about 3 to 4 hours to edit. So, my other videos, the down and dirties and everything, believe it or not, the recording takes a little bit, but the editing is pretty quick. It's pretty straightforward. Those vlogs are pretty labor intensive because of all of the different cuts and piecing the footage together, and I've got 2 or 3 cameras, which if you guys don't subscribe to the vlog, here's a perfect reason why. Sometimes I get it's almost always dual cam footage where you see my controls and then you see what's happening with the machine. But there's a lot of times when I'll throw the drone up in the air too, so you actually get 3 views all at the same time, and you have to synchronize that footage and edit it all together. And then I get fancy with it, and I do a lot of transitions. I do a lot of slow motion footage to make it look nice and pretty and cinematic. So I do a lot of other things, and music selection, of course. Music takes a while to find. So those are truly a labor of love, and so, you know, I'm going to continue to do the vlogs whether that channel grows or not, because I just genuinely enjoy doing them. But there is a lot of educational material in those. I try to talk. The reason I like them so much is because it's kind of on-the-job training to an extent. I have the camera sitting over my shoulder, and I spend a lot of time talking about why I'm doing things the way that I am, what my reasoning is behind it, what my thought process is from start to finish of the project, how we're going to proceed. So it is very, I try to keep that educational as well. It's just a different kind of education than the down and dirties. So anyway, that was a long-winded answer to Ryan's comment there. Cox, Nathan, what is going on? It has been a long time, brother. Where have you been? I'm assuming you're just working your balls off like everybody else here, but it's good to see you, man. Have you guys fully recovered from the skid steer loss at this point? I would imagine you'd have to by this time. Jason, I prefer mini to a backhoe. 100%. 100%. E. Ryan, anyone else getting washed out by the hurricane? I didn't even know there was a hurricane, because in Michigan we don't experience hurricanes. We experience the after effects of the hurricanes when they finally make it up this way, which just basically means ungodly amounts of rain. But where is the hurricane hitting, and when is it supposed to make landfall, Ryan? Yeah, if you're dry in Indiana, yeah, you guys are pretty much like us here in Michigan, which we've been dry now. We got some serious storms through last week. God Family Country. We're operators for our country, use all the machines on your vids. Some Volvo EW180 rubber tire excavator. Woo! Not a fan of the rubber tires. Not a fan of the rubber tires. Sorry, I got distracted. I'm sorry. Sometimes, apparently, I just have a little mini stroke, and that's what just happened there. I got distracted reading something and totally just, it's not like I'm on a live stream or anything. Anyway, back to it. Grading in a backhoe is one of the worst experiences I've had. Just can't see or feel anything. So that's another aspect of backhoes that I can't stand, is the fact that the boom, there's not a better way to do it, but the boom is right in the middle of the machine. which means you have this huge visual obstruction anywhere you're trying to dig, and it's constantly leaning over here and leaning over here to try to get the angle to see what you're doing, and God forbid you're trying to do that while you expose a gas line. I'm just not a fan all the way around, not a fan. Boom. Dan, the only reason I like backhoes is because of the lifting capacity of them. Really big rocks, cost of a deer 120. So when you get into actual load charts and lift charts and all that stuff, Dan, you'd actually be shocked when you start getting into a decent size, so like a mid-size excavator. In fact, you're talking about going up to a deer 120. I would say check out the 8-ton machines. Those are really capable machines, and I would say they have, don't quote me 100%, but I would say they're damn near at a backhoe's capability when it comes to lift capacity. And you've still got a relatively small footprint. You've still got the efficiency of being in an excavator. The 8-ton class machines are some of my favorite to run because they're fast, they're zippy, but they've got more power like the bigger machines. So they're really, really nice. Yes, Constancio de la Peña, Harakari, or whatever it is. I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to pronounce Japanese things, but yes, he knows what I'm talking about. Tom is what I will call you from now on once I remember your name fully, because it's going to take me 18 times to get that right. I'm sorry. I'm going to pre-apologize, but Tom. Constancio de la Peña. Hey, man. Taking a course for heavy equipment operator, and I have 3 weeks left in my course before graduating. What do you recommend, mining or road construction? Dude, it totally depends on what's available in your area and what you want to do. So I will give you the truth on the industry. Mining is going to be boring and repetitive. You're going to do the same thing day in and day out for the rest of your career. You're going to work in the same location, and in my opinion, that's really boring. But really good pay, really good benefits, really safety oriented. It's a great career, don't get me wrong. And there are a lot of guys that really enjoy that. And I will say you get to run some of the biggest shit in the industry, and I'm super jealous that you get to do that. So that's mining. Road construction, you're generally going to have to travel anywhere from 45 minutes to 2.5 hours a day for your commute, because you're going to be all over the place. It depends on the company you're working for. You're going to be working some pretty long hours because it's seasonal for the most part. But again, you get pretty good pay and pretty good wages and benefits, and there's a really good career there. If you like the change of scenery, then 100% go that direction. So I would love to answer this question for you, but unfortunately I can't. I can only inform you of the pros and cons of each. And then from there, it's all you. But I will say this, there's not a lose in there. I mean, it's a win-win situation because you have a great career either direction. It's really what do you want to do. And I will say this, if you've got the opportunity to get into mining, that's a coveted position. There's a lot of guys that want to get into that industry, but they don't have the opportunity or the window to do it. So, I would spend some time thinking on it and do some research on it. But you don't have a lose in that situation. Let's see here. Northeast, it made landfall about 3 hours ago. No kidding. Huh. Okay. All right, I didn't even know that was a thing. In fact, I'm gonna look at my weather radar because I didn't even know. So northeast. Ooh, I even have Henry. Where's old Henry? Oh, you're way up east. Wow. Okay. So Baston area. Okay. I had no idea that was a thing going on. So apparently there's a hurricane, guys, and it's somewhere over by Baston. So. Love playing Seppuku, way more fun than committing Sudoku. Is it Sudoku? I'm fairly confident that's the old person game where you try to make 9 in a square. Well, isn't it Sudoku? I don't know. Japanese things are just confusing. Andrew, late to the stream. Don't keep track of my days when I'm out here working 7 days a week out of town. Just got done grilling some hot dogs and drinking some twisted teas. That means you're totally geared up for the live stream, my man, and you still got a half hour left. A half hour to sit there with your twisted iced tea and your hot dog chilling, full belly at the end of a day. Dude, that's a great way to spend an evening. Thanks for showing up, Andrew. Appreciate it. Northeast, Long Island, Connecticut, New England. I'm with you, Brandon. I just looked it up. We're good. We're all on the same page now. Okay. Tom. I remembered Tom. I said a lot of RCP, which if you guys aren't aware, if there's anyone in here that isn't in the industry, RCP is reinforced concrete pipe. For driveway pipes, slots pipes, outfalls, and mini excavator blows away the backhoe other than needing forks to move the pipe around quickly. So that's the thing. I do want to put a big asterisk around when I say a mini is more efficient than a backhoe. Oh, that was so rude. I apologize. That's terrible. That's terrible etiquette. Anyway, it is more efficient than a backhoe in a straight digging situation, or if you have it coupled with a CTL. So, you know, for forking pipe around and moving stuff around, you know, pairing a decent sized mini with like a larger CTL, like a Case 450 or a Deere, what is it, 550, I don't remember their nomenclature. Anyway, larger machines. Those two machines will work circles around a backhoe because they excel at what they do. We've talked about this over and over. My big problem with backhoes is that they're a jack of all trades, a master of none. So it does an okay job of using the front bucket and forks, but it's not great. It does an okay job of digging with the backhoe, but it's not great. Versus an excavator does a really great job of digging, and a CTL does a really great job of grading and using forks. So that's my big asterisk, my big caveat to what I say. So anyway, Nathan, yes, brain fart, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what happened. I just blacked out for a second, and then all of a sudden I was on a live stream. So I don't know. Yeah, man, that's JJ. Don't always mind. Still love doing the job. Love since always, gonna be in love with 550H. Sometimes K series. Yeah, that's the thing. At the end of the day, as we all know as operators, your first glance at a machine may be like, oh, it's an old busted piece of crap. At the end of the day, we all like running the equipment. It doesn't matter how worn out it is. Like, I'm still gonna get up in a dozer and I'm gonna push dirt, and it's gonna be fun. Like, we're really blessed to be in this industry where we get to go out and push dirt around and have fun outside all day long, while other people work in an office all day under artificial lighting. Yeah, no thank you. Finkel, what's happening, my man? How are you? Let's see here. Sean, in Connecticut at about 2 o'clock, bunch of rain. Mining is so boring, only stuck with it for bragging rights. So that's the problem with mining, is it is very monotonous. It's the same. Literally, you're either driving a truck or you're running a big hoe, which is cool because they're huge, but it's only cool for like 3 or 4 days until you realize that you're going to be doing this for the rest of your effing life. Now, there are some support equipment in there. You know, you could run a blade doing haul road maintenance. You could run a cleanup dozer, which your cleanup dozer is like a D9 or a D11, which is awesome. I would do that. So there are other roles that you can have within a mine, but at the same time, that is all you're going to do for the rest of your career. And it's not like you get to switch locations after a season like you do on the roadside. Like, that was one of the things I liked, is if I didn't like a location, it was fine because I only had to be there for 6-ish months before we were on to the next job. So just something to keep in mind. Tyler, what's your favorite machine? I don't know. If we're talking a dozer, I would probably say like the Case 1650. That's a really good pushing machine. Although I haven't run one of the new D6XEs yet. And I really want to run one of those because those look like they could push. So I will withhold there. When it comes to an excavator, I'd probably say either one of the next gen cats, that has just come out, or one of the newer Cabelcos. Those are really, really solid machines. When it comes to a loader, I have a soft spot for the Cat 938K just because I spent so much seat time in it. I know that machine inside and out, although there were things I didn't like about it. I really, really like the Case 821 or 921. Those are really, really solid loaders. You have a real transmission. It's not a hydrostat. There's a lot of advantages to that machine. I just wish they had a hair more counterweight. So those are kind of it. All depends on what you're talking here. And there's a lot of stuff I haven't run too. So I know that was a really, really convoluted, not specific answer, and I'm sorry, sort of ish. Sean, mining has no gratification of building anything better. That's another aspect of mining. Now, I mean, you are moving a crap load of earth. I mean, like, not even comparable to the roadside. It's not even comparable. But that's all you're doing. That's all you're doing for the rest of your career. So it sounds like everyone's dogging mining, and I want to be careful here. I don't want you to write off mining because everyone says it's boring, because there is a whole section of the earth moving population out there that does not find mining boring. They enjoy it. By all means, see if you like it, but you know, you do get stuck in a pit for the rest of your life. So anyway, let's see here. Nathan, we haven't purchased anything yet. The boss, I think, is worried about the economy and where it's going with the Democratic Party. I don't know, Nathan. I haven't seen any signs of slowdown so far. We're still clipping along here, so I don't think the Democratic Party is going to have that much sway in the near future, but I've been wrong before. Dan, thanks for the tip on the 8-ton machines. Just looked up the Cat 307.5, and I'm going to start considering one. I was running the TB290. It was just super tippy. Had to reposition and put the blade down. That 8-ton, absolutely, Dan. So the 8-ton machines, you'll find they're super, super capable machines. I will say, don't be afraid to venture out from Cat on that weight class. Cabelco puts out a really, really good machine. Case puts out a solid machine, although they're a hair more expensive. Cat's going to be pretty dang pricey on those, just because Cat's very proud of their stuff. I'm not a fan of the Deer series in that weight class, just because the cabs seem pretty tight and claustrophobic to me. But yeah, don't be afraid to venture outside of Cat for that one. But absolutely, it's worth the investment on one of those machines. They're very, very productive machines, and I'll tell you this, they can doze. Like, legit, we had a CX80, which is Case's 8-ton machine, on one of the first jobs I did for Rick for my vlog. I had a CX80 where I was leveling a yard, and I was putting that sucker through its paces pushing dirt, and I was shocked at how much dirt that thing would push. So that's another benefit of those 8-ton machines, is you've got a fair amount of weight on the ground and you got a dozer blade pushing behind it, so you can move some material with that dozer blade. Brandon, I'm curious, why don't companies post their prices on their equipment, like Volvo and their new 950 excavators, one of those things? No, Brandon, really what that boils down to is it is 100%, there isn't a set price. When you are dealing in equipment, it's like cars. It's all about negotiation. It's all about where there's wiggle room. It's also, you don't want to divulge your prices compared to your competitors down the road. There's also a lot of discounts behind the scenes that can happen, whether it's from incentives from the manufacturer, or the dealer might be running some sort of a special. Or the best thing I can tell you is, if you've got a quote that you know is a really solid quote from a manufacturer, take it into another, from a dealership, take it into another dealership and make them match it or get under it. You can absolutely start pitting dealerships against each other and work it. But that's why they don't list those prices, is because that's a fluid number. It is not a set number. So yes, let me see here. More do with me too many days. Well, okay, so Jason also brought up a really good point. There are also a ton of customizations and configurations. So, you know, the 950 is a great example. Are you doing a short stick for mass excavating? Are you going with the mass excavating setup? Or are you doing a long stick so that you can do underground work? Are you going with triple bar grouser pads? Or are you going with single bar grouser pads? Are you doing, you know, the super premium plush cab on it? Or are you just doing the standard cab? Are you doing the additional light package with LEDs? Are you sticking with the standard? I'm trying to think of just all of the options that we would go through on a machine build. Coupler, no coupler. Multiple buckets or a single bucket. Are you doing a thumb, no thumb? There's additional counterweight on some machines depending on the machine. So yes, that's a whole other aspect I totally forgot about, is the number of configurations you can have on a machine. It's really, really difficult to just say, hey, it's going to cost you somewhere around this number. So let's see here. Boom. First live stream for me. We'll return next Sunday with beer in hand. Good. Hey, Tom, thanks for hanging out, my man. I appreciate you hanging out for the live stream. I've seen you comment multiple times. I'm glad that you actually came out to a live stream. JJ, weird question. Do you know or have you been on companies where maybe one or two workers stole either diesel or parts from equipment? Not diesel or parts. What we would more commonly run into is guys stealing scrap metal, power tools, so like your Hiltis or your cutoff saws, stuff like that. Some of your smaller power tools, those are more common to have things stolen. Not so much diesel and parts off of the machines. In fact, I would say parts off of machines I don't think I've ever seen stolen. Oh, Bacon, here you go. So he's referencing, we're gonna skip back in time here to where I referenced my JCB backhoe, and I was gonna have to kill myself with the samurai blade. It's called seppuku or harakiri, which is belly cutting. Oh, Bacon, I'm losing respect, my man. Oh my gosh, he's a weeb. Which I don't even know what that term is. I think it's like one of those, like, you watch anime. Do you watch anime, Bacon? Are you one of those guys? You watch anime, don't you? And you're all about Pokemon. I don't know what we're going to do with these people, guys. I don't know what we're going to do. Sean, yes. 336 Next Gen is effing unbelievable. I've heard that about all the Next Gen machines, all the operators. When I was out there with Fetchco Excavating, filming those guys, all of their operators ran it and raved. One of them was running a new 352, one was running a new 336, and one was running maybe the 349. All of them had beaming reviews, so I am dying to get in the seat of one of those machines. Finkel, turning work down left and right here in Mississippi. Is that Mississippi? MS? I think it's Mississippi, isn't it? We just need employees and really could be making some bank, even 2 banks. Yeah, that's the industry right now, man. That's actually, oh, by the way, on the dirt, if you guys don't follow Equipment World, go follow that channel, because I am the host of the show The Dirt, and I am going to be interviewing. It finally happened, guys. Brandon, I had to go do your legwork for you, man. I told you were supposed to hook me up with Aaron Witt, and you never did, and so I had to go do it myself. I'm interviewing Aaron Witt in 2 weeks for The Dirt, baby. Yeah. Anyway, that's what our subject is about. We're talking about marketing for big companies and how you don't have to market for work anymore. What you need to be marketing for is for good quality employees, and nobody in the industry realizes that. There are very, very few people in the industry that realize that's what they need to be marketing for right now. So just to kind of piggyback on your comment there. Boom, boom, boom. Volvo, don't even mess with cat. Now, your comma and your wording there makes me confused about whether you're rooting for Volvo or for cat there, Andrew. But either way, I think you're about to start a fight. In fact, here we go. Ryan's kicking in with Volvo guys represent. Kubota makes a really good Mini. Sean, I 100% agree. Kubota does make a really solid Mini. Yes, 100%. Ryan backing them up. Yep. Now we have more Volvo love. Everyone loves the Volvo. as Nick would say if Nick were still here. I'm fairly confident Nick is making an appearance early on and then ducking out of the live stream so he can get credit for being here. You know, what kind of friend is that? What kind of friend is that, Nick? If you watch this and you see this later on, that's not a good friend. Anyways, back to the live stream, damn it. What do you think of Komatsu excavators? I'm not a huge fan, Jason. It's not that they're terrible or awful, it's more of a personal preference. I've never felt that their cabs felt as polished as other manufacturers, and they always seemed a little slower to me. So I've never been a huge fan of Komatsu's, but you know, it is what it is. They're one of the biggest brands out there when it comes to excavators and equipment overall. So you're not getting a bad machine. I'm just not a fan of them. Now their dozer line is a totally different story. I'm a huge fan of their dozers. Bacon, you bring up a great point. And that's honestly what I would tell someone. If you're thinking about going into mining, go give it a shot, because it's really easy to get into road work. Especially if you've got experience on equipment, it's really easy to get into road work. So if you've got the opportunity to go get into mining, go give it a shot and see what it, I mean, see how you like it. And if you hate it after 6 months to a year, go get on a road crew. That's like, that would be a great way to experience both worlds. So great point, Bacon. Ryan, haven't heard many complaints on Komatsu's except their new ones are more expensive than a cat machine. Ooh, Komatsu's getting proud. Wow. Nathan, look at that, representing the case. I'm a fan. John Deere and cat. Now that sounds like you're just riding the fence. I mean, that sounds a bit like you're just riding the fence so you don't want to offend anyone. Yeah. TK, self-greasing. What's self-greasing? I've never run a machine that is self-greasing. I've never been that spoiled. Would be nice. Komatsu loaders are pretty good. Got a couple of WA500s. So my only complaint with the Komatsu's was the cab design. The cab design, in my opinion, was just not well put together. It was small. It felt very small compared to the cat. I didn't have room for my lunch. It sat under my arm up here, which made it a pain in the butt to operate my joystick. Just was not a fan of the Komatsu cab. The loader itself was fine. You know, it was a good enough loader. But that cab design was just awful. Finkel, quick couplers should become a standard part of all excavators. So before I started selling equipment, I would have said 100% yes. However, I have learned a few things since then, and here's why I would not make them standard equipment. So, how can I demonstrate this? I don't have any tools with me. So basically, when you have your stick, this is going to be our bucket, and your bucket. You have a hinge point right here, which is your bucket, your main bucket pin right here is your hinge point. The distance from this main pin down to your teeth is a very, 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 very important number. And if you do anything to extend that distance, you significantly decrease your breakout force. And so what happens when you put a coupler on, if you think about it, is you're now taking that main pin, you're putting a coupler there, and now you're moving your bucket out here. So your pivot point has moved because you have a coupler rotating there. Now you've extended that distance and your breakout force diminishes greatly. If you're digging in soft materials or you're doing like underground work where you need to switch between a bunch of different buckets, absolutely, quick couplers are phenomenal. But when you're in an application where you need as much power as you can get, quick couplers are the worst thing you can put in there because you're extending that radius from your main bucket pin to your bucket tooth, and it kills your breakout force. So anyway, that's why couplers will never become a standard item on a machine. That's also why I would always tell people that were buying mini excavators from me. Basically, I would say probably from a 5-ton machine and down, maybe even stepping up 8-ton you can get away with doing a quick coupler. Anything under that, I always tell guys, don't even bother with the quick coupler for 2 reasons. One, it's more expensive because you have to buy a quick coupler. It's really expensive if you buy the hydraulic quick coupler. And secondly, the buckets aren't that heavy. So to do a bucket switch on a Mini, it's not like you're taking 3 guys to wrangle a bucket into place to get it to where the pin will smash in with the sledgehammer. You're literally talking about bumping this thing with your knee, and you can get it to tweak enough you can shove your bucket pin in there. So yeah, it's a little bit of a pain, but at the same time, it's not worth the loss in breakout force on a Mini where you're already dealing with smaller forces because it's a smaller machine. So anyway, Shane had a fire hydrant stolen. No kidding? How do you even steal a fire hydrant? Like, those suckers are heavy as crap. You'd have to use a machine to manhandle that into the back of a truck, and even then, most of the hydrants on our jobs were already attached to the downpipe that hooked onto the main. So, like, it's not even like you could throw something in the back of a pickup truck. Like, that's crazy to me. Jason, thanks guys. Company has some Komatsu, but all our newer ones are Deere. Prefer the Komatsu, but my experience is limited to these two. So I haven't ran any of the big Deere machines, so I can't say anything over Deere over Komatsu. I am not a fan of the smaller Deere machines. Their cab layouts drive me nuts. They're too small, but that's just my personal opinion. Ryan, yeah, jumping jacks, any of those small power tools that are easy to grab, those are going to be the hot button items that are going to go if you don't watch them. Really like the Cat 325. That thing's stupid fast. Yep, that's a great. So that Cat 325, 330, those are really, really good machines because they've got a little bit smaller footprint, but they've got the power of their big brothers, and they are fast. They've got that zip to them like a smaller machine. I really like that weight class. Shoot Luck Gaming, thoughts on Komatsu? Don't know if anyone mentioned that. It's funny you ask. We just got through talking about it. Not a fan of Komatsu hose. I'm not a fan. It's a personal preference. I really like their dozers. You can't compete with the visibility of a Komatsu dozer because they move their cooling package to the rear of the machine. But yeah, they're good equipment. I will say that Komatsu is good equipment. It's not like you're gonna buy a piece of crap if you buy a Komatsu. It's just preference on. I don't like their cabs, and I think they run a little slower. All right, Bacon. Doesn't watch anime, doesn't play Pokemon, but most of his friends do, so might as well just as bad. I play along because I like the cars, trucks, and equipment for the land of the rising sun. All right, I will out myself, Bacon. I will fall on my sword for you so that you're not alone in here. I am all about JDMs. I am. I love them. I love imports. I am only slightly ashamed to say it because of the crowd. If I were in a crowd where this was acceptable, I would be quite proud of it, because one of the things I want to own when all of this finally takes off and goes crazy, I don't care about all the ridiculously expensive cars. I want to buy like a 96 Toyota Supra and pour about 30 grand into it and get a turbo that's big enough that I can physically push my head inside of it. And that's what I want. That's my toy car. That's what I want. So I'm with you. I understand. Now, anime, Pokemon, and all that stuff, no, you're just a Japanese weirdo. Sorry, you're just one of those weirdos. But when it comes to those cars, like Tokyo Drift, I was a fan. I'm sorry, guys. The original, like, Fast and Furious up to Tokyo Drift, I like those movies. I do. I enjoy them. And I drooled over some of the cars, if not all of them. So anyway, back to, we got to get back on track here. Let's see here. Where? Andrew, now that it came up again, my honest opinion on mining is that it's a great way to retire. It's not for the younger folks. When I was undergraduate, 100%. Like, that's another aspect that Andrew brings up that's really, really great, is start while you're young and you can keep pace and you want the excitement. Go on a road crew or do something that is really labor intensive. It's a lot of hours. It's fast paced. It's going to keep you on your feet and on your toes. But at the same time, there's nothing like, that's a perfect retirement job to kind of take it easy and just, because I will be honest, the further you go in your career, the more you're going to envy the guy sitting on the roller. I spent my entire first part of my career being like, oh God, can I just get off of this roller? I want to run anything else. And then towards the back end of my operating career, I'm like, why did I ever want to get off that roller? Like, the guy has no responsibility. He's no pressure whatsoever. You just hang out and eat your sandwich, and you know, chat and yuck it up with the density guy all day, and that's it. Like, that's easy gravy job. Likewise, going to mining, like, easy gravy job. Yeah, woo. I mean, that's a great point. Great point, Andrew. Thank you for bringing that up. Oh, let's see here. Jackson, what's happening? Got a headache, won't be able to live stream, just pay, great friend. Hey, thanks for hanging out. I hope you get to feeling better, Jackson. Appreciate you stopping in for a minute. Sean, Volvo person, but this cat kicks ass. Ooh, so we might be converting someone from Volvo to cat. Getting a bad machine, Komatsu excavators, junk. Had them all together on the same site, putting them through the Komatsu could not keep up. Interesting. So I would like to see them side by side. The Komatsus always felt slower to me, and the other thing I didn't like about them is their stick seemed really long compared to the competitors, which is really great for underground work, I suppose, but just the geometry of the machine I was not a huge fan of. Which I know we're clipping along here, guys. I know we've got a lot of guys watching currently, and I apologize. We're going to wrap this baby up here in about 5 to 10 minutes. Just fair warning, because I had a super long weekend, and while I do come off as having a lot of pizzazz and energy, I am tired. I'm effing tired, and I'm really looking forward to watching a show with my wife. So, fair warning. So I'm going to try to plug through these comments real quick. My cousin had both manual and hydraulic quick couplers on his Mini. We will never not have a quick coupler, and he's even going back to a hydraulic quick coupler. We switch buckets so often it's a must. So that's one of the things I would always tell my customers is really do an inventory of a real day for you as a company. So if you guys switch buckets 2, 3 times, 4 times a day, 100% go with a quick coupler. That's absolutely worth it. But you have to think that most guys, this was all of our experience on the sales team. Everyone came into the dealership. I want an excavator and I want a quick coupler. Okay, well, what do? Well, I dig basements. Oh, okay. Well, how often do you switch buckets? Once or twice a year. Okay. Why would you go spend $1,200 on a quick coupler? That's a manual quick coupler. Because if you want hydraulic, you're probably more in the ballpark of like $2,500. Why would you go spend that kind of money to switch buckets twice a year? Because I tell you, there's a flip side that most guys don't think about with quick couplers. If you don't use quick couplers, especially hydraulic quick couplers, if you don't use those quick couplers regularly, they will seize up to the point that when you go to use it, you're going to spend half a day with torches trying to get that thing to unseize so that you can get your bucket off the machine. It causes you way more problems and headache than it ever would have saved you in time. So, all that to say, Ryan, in your situation, if there are guys that switch buckets multiple times a day, every day, that's part of your work, 100% quick couplers are the way to go. But that is not the majority. The majority of people do not switch buckets that frequently. So, Sean, we have a mechanic for the Komatsu come out and turn up all the screws as far as they could and would not keep up. Ooh, Sean is really dogging Komatsu here. Ooh, things might get a little spicy. Ryan does not like the JDM. That's okay. We can agree to disagree, Ryan. Okay. Say goodbye to Volvo backhoes. Focus is now on excavators. I didn't even know Volvo was making backhoes, in all honesty. I don't think I've seen a Volvo backhoe ever. Tom, I said God, family, country again, and I know your name is Tom. Which Tom? I thought you left. Wait a second. He bamboozled us. Yeah. You made it sound like you were leaving, and you came back. I think you wanted the attention, guys. I think that was it. Komatsu 290, pure power, love it. Okay. JJ, also JDM fan. Favorite car is the Skyline R32 GTR. Why the R32? The R34 is such a badass car. Oh my gosh. When I was in Austin, we had, I think it was ProTech down there, was the tuning shop. And I was in a car club because that's what you do when you're a car guy. And we all went into there and they had a beautiful R34 sitting there on the floor with one of the largest turbos I have ever seen put in a car. It was ungodly. It was amazing. I wish so bad we could have seen that thing run. It was so incredible. Shane, 2001 S2000. Ooh, ooh, Shane, that is tasteful. I like those. So everyone shit on the S2000s because they didn't have a ton of power and there was only so much you could do with them, but those were zippy little cars. I mean, I guess they were kind of the answer to the Mazda Miata, and they were zippy little cars, and I thought they looked way better than the Mazda Miata. The Miatas always looked like they had just this big old fat open mouth and they looked retarded to me, but that's just me. Anyway, let's see here. Vinny ran a Komatsu WA500 at an old job. That thing was a beast. I believe it. When you get into those big loaders, I will say this. I was in a WA320. Is it 320 or 340? I can't remember, guys. When you step up into the next tier, you do kind of step up in machine all the way around, and you're not talking the same cab components. So I will withhold judgment on the larger Komatsu excavators, but yeah, I was not a fan. I think it was a WA320. The more I think about it, and I just wasn't a fan of the cab. It was too tight. Nathan, only reason you like CAT is dealer support. 100%. That's where CAT just continues to have the market, is dealer support, and that is so important anytime you're in any sort of a production situation. You have to have that dealer support. Without it, you're just sunk. So unfortunately, I mean, it's all dependent upon your view, but unfortunately CAT has really cornered the market there to where they are in a class of their own. And they charge a premium for it. That's why you pay so much for CAT equipment, which I understand. You are going to pay up front for it, but at the same time, when that machine goes down, CAT's going to show up where everyone else is going to tell you you're going to have to wait a day or so. So, you know, tomato, you know, I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's late, guys. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. I'm not even going to circle back to that. Bacon, you've admitted this before. You didn't have to out yourself again. Oh, well, Bacon, why didn't you save me on that one? Where were you when I was spouting, you know, oh my goodness. Anyway, Mitsu Fuso for a pickup. 2-ton 4x4 drop side pickup truck, about as big as a full-size car, but maintenance would kill. I've never even heard of that, Bacon, and I'm not going to look it up for the live stream. You know, most of these things I look up, but I know that my audience would not really care to see this pickup truck. But I will look that up after I get off of the live stream. There's a small part of me that still wants to go buy one of the old F-150 Lightnings and really put some money into it, because those were really slick looking trucks, which if you haven't seen, they are coming out with a new F-150 Lightning that is all electric, and they're doing 2 versions of it, which I think is genius. They're doing one which is the old school look with the sexy like side step body and everything, but then they've got one that looks like a normal pickup truck, which is really way more practical for everybody else. But I do really like the idea of going and getting one of the old school F-150 Lightnings with the big old supercharger and upgrading it and really putting some horsepower in it just for fun. Like, I miss playing on cars when I didn't have disposable income, let's be honest. I was irresponsible and young, and so that's where I put my money instead of on more important things. Anyway, 5 minutes, guys. 5-minute warning. Get me all distracted. Gah! Yeah, because they have grease fittings inside that no one ever greases. Quick coupler. Yes, Sean, that is a huge reason quick couplers lock up. It's 2 things. People don't grease it because they don't know there's grease fittings. The second thing is, though, even this is the trick, and this is a secret sauce for everybody. If you have a quick coupler that you don't operate regularly, don't just pump a couple pumps of grease into the quick coupler zerk fitting and call it good. You actually need to get in the cab and you need to cycle that fitting, because if you think about what a grease fitting does, is imagine this is your pin here and you've got a zerk fitting in the top. When you pump a couple pumps of grease, it kind of goes along the top of the fitting or along the top of the pin, and it just sits there. You have 90% of the pin all the way around that doesn't get coated in grease. The only way that gets coated in grease is when you actually exercise the joint. So, and this is the same with skid steers too. If you have a skid steer that you never take the bucket off of, but you have a hydraulic coupler on, When you grease that coupler, you need to actually exercise the coupler. That's what spreads the grease around on the fittings, or the pins and bushings, so that you can actually move it and it won't seize up on you. So anyway, back. Ryan, see Volvo backhoe in real life, rare, but they exist. Yeah, I haven't seen one. I have seen a Komatsu backhoe, which if you haven't seen one of those, I didn't even know Komatsu made backhoes, and then I took 2 of them in on trade out of nowhere. It was like crazy. Anyway, R33 is my favorite. I know I'm a black sheep, not a Nissan guy otherwise. Yeah, Nissan, it's okay, but yes, the R33, 32, 34, those were good cars. Renting versus buying equipment. JJ, I'm actually planning on doing a dirt episode on leasing versus buying equipment relatively soon. I'm waiting to hear back from some people over on the Cat Finance side to put that episode together. So stay tuned on that one, because I'm going to do a full episode of the dirt on leasing versus buying. Renting versus buying. If you're starting out, renting is a great way to get your start. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's far more expensive to rent than it is to own your equipment, so you will want to transition at some point. But it's a great way to start. D Sweet, hi guys, SoCal stopping by, work for a union grading contractor in the Inland Empire area. Love the content. Thanks, man, I appreciate that. Thanks for swinging out. Thanks for being a part of the live stream. And thank you for the compliments on the new lighting. I appreciate it. I put a lot of hard work and effort, believe it or not. I put a lot of hard work and effort into this studio area, kind of prepping it for you guys. So I do appreciate the compliments. D Sweet Lightning. Oh, you said lighting or lightning? Anyway, I'm sorry, lightning. Okay, so I'm sorry, I misinterpreted. You were talking about the truck. I'm talking about my studio and this massive light that I'm staring into. Anyway, yes, the lightning is sick. I really want to put down a payment to get one, but I can't afford it right now. SRT 10. The Dodge Ram SRT 10. I don't know. I haven't looked into that one, but I need to go do some research on it. Ryan, a lot of the big companies lease. The reason they do that is for 2 reasons. One, you have a constant rotation of equipment, generally in a 3 to 5 year period, which is about the time you run out of your warranty or extended warranty on your equipment, and you have to start paying for all the maintenance, and that's also when maintenance items start to occur. So that's number one. The other reason has to do from an accounting standpoint. You go from a variable cost model to a fixed cost model. What do I mean by that? Well, if you're doing all the maintenance on your equipment, you have variable costs because you're responsible for all of the breakdowns and all the repairs and all of the stuff going on with the machine, versus with a lease. Oh, and as you pay the machine off, things are going to change and fluctuate. As the machine ages, more maintenance is going to fluctuate. Versus if you do a lease, you have a relatively fixed cost model where you know you're paying a little bit more. You're absolutely paying more. It's never going to be cheaper to lease than it is to buy. But for that little bit more you're paying, you don't have to worry about all of the breakdown stuff because, I don't know, 85 to 90% of it's covered under warranty. You don't have to worry about any of the long-term maintenance stuff because right about the time you have to start worrying about that, you're trading the machine back in. You don't have all of these variables that are up in the air. And so that allows companies to be a lot more accurate with the way that they calculate their margins and their costs on a job. So that's one of the reasons they do that. So anyway, we're going to start wrapping up, guys. I'm sorry. I really am. You don't want my sauce. I don't even know what that means. Did I say something about sauce? Did someone say something about sauce? Damn it, this is the problem with the comments when I'm not paying attention to the words coming out of my mouth, is I don't know what you're referencing. Damn it. So anyway. Sean, thank you for the compliment on the studio. Appreciate it. Bacon, absolutely. I'm here for you guys. As I've said, reach out. If you have questions, reach out. So, last question. I'm not answering anything else. If you put something in the comments, I'm not going to answer it. And I'm sorry because we got to shut her down. So, Mike, can you recommend some small, heavy equipment YouTube channels? I found Lever Monkey because of you. Thanks. So, if you like watching equipment run, just watching equipment run. Let's see here, construction machinery channel is Alan and his son. He's a school teacher. He and his son go out and record equipment. He's got a great little channel. You've got engine, what is it, 201 is another channel similar to that, where he just goes out and runs equipment. You've got, let's see here, my buddy, God, I can't remember his, hang on, Mike, let me do a quick search here. I'm getting myself all discombobulated here. So Diggin' OK is a great channel if you like watching backhoe work. He's one of the best backhoe operators I've ever seen. We've also got, where is he at? Sorry guys, I'm having to comb through my subscriptions here for a second. So it is Engine 201, I just confirmed that. And where did he go? Dignation 21. He's brand spanking new. He's got a very, very small channel. He would appreciate some support. He just got a new job where he's running some bigger equipment. He was in a Hitachi 350 this past week. He's got a good channel. That's Dignation 21. And then where's my guy from Canada? I'm having such a brain fart. James Gibson. Gibson Landscape Construction is another good one to follow, and he's a small guy, brand new channel. But then you've got your bigger ones. So you've got Let's Dig 18 is a great channel to follow. Elite Earthworks, Dirt Perfect. Man, there's so many of them out there that you can go follow. So with that being said, you can play all of those back, because I know I did a little rapid fire thing for you, Mike. I'm sorry about that, but you can go play it back and search for them individually, and shoot me an email if you can't find one of them, and I'll shoot you the link to their channel. So everybody, Ryan, D Sweet, Constancianzo de la Peña, woo, that's a mouthful. Thank you guys for watching. Yeah, D Sweet SoCal Earth Movers is a really good one. When he posts, it's gotten more and more infrequent. The guy from Saskatchewan, God, I just lost him. He used to work for Kidco. What's his name, guys? Help me out. Damn it. Oh, and he's been doing a lot of stuff with Caterpillar lately. What is his name? Man, I am having the massive brain fart tonight. And I'm trying to wrap this thing up too, which isn't helping. What is his effing name? Help me out, guys. Runs Not Awesome Earth Movers. He did a bunch of Komatsu 1250 videos. In fact, we're going to just search that. Komatsu 1250. I bet he'll come right up. Pushy 6. Sweet Jesus, Brian. Good Lord, that was embarrassing. Thank you, Ryan. anyways, Ken White Construction, another good one. I'm out. Enough, guys. Enough. You're getting me all distracted. You guys have a great evening. Have a great rest of your weekend. Thanks for hanging out with me. I really do appreciate you guys showing up. And we will catch you guys next Sunday, because we will definitely be live. We'll see you then.